Hey everyone, and welcome to DevOps Corner. If you're looking to really level up your skills, you are in exactly the right place. So glad to have you here. And hey, if you find this helpful today, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and like the video for more content just like this.
All right, let's dive right in. Today we're going to tackle one of the most important tools you can learn if you're working with Kubernetes, and that is Helm. We're going to break down exactly what it is, why it's so useful, and how it can help you package and deploy your applications without all the usual headaches.
But, before we get to the solution, let's spend a minute on the problem itself. A problem I'm pretty sure anyone who's touched Kubernetes has felt firsthand.
I mean, seriously, have you ever tried to deploy something a little more complex, like Prometheus or an ELK stack, or even just your own app that has a few different microservices? You know that feeling, right? It feels like you're juggling a dozen different config files, just hoping you don't drop one.
And this right here is the heart of the issue. For just one application, you have to write, manage, and keep track of all these different manifest files. A single typo in just one of them can send you down a rabbit hole of debugging. And trying to keep all of this consistent between, say, your dev and prod environments, that is a whole other level of challenge.
Well, this is where Helm comes in. It takes that chaotic, error-prone process and turns it into something that's actually streamlined, simple, and best of all, repeatable.
This is probably the best analogy for understanding what Helm really is. You know how you'd use apt or yum on Linux or homebrew on a Mac to install software? Well, Helm does the exact same thing, but for Kubernetes. It lets you install, upgrade, and manage entire applications with just a few simple commands, because it bundles everything together in one neat package.
So how does Helm do all this? Well, it really comes down to three core concepts. First up, we have the chart. You can just think of a chart as the box that holds all those YAML files we were just talking about. Your deployments, your services, your config maps, everything, all bundled up into one logical unit.
Next, you have the repository. This is where you can find and share charts. Think of it like a giant app store, but for Kubernetes packages. The biggest public one out there is Artifact Hub, and you can go there and find ready-to-use charts for thousands of common tools like databases, monitoring systems, you name it.
And finally, we have the release. A release is simply what we call a chart after you've installed it into your cluster with a specific set of configurations. And what's cool is you can install the same chart over and over again, and each time you do, it creates a new, unique release.
Okay, so now that we've got the main ideas down, let's pop the hood and take a look at what a chart is actually made of.
What's so powerful about this is that it's completely standardized. Every single Helm chart you'll ever find follows this same basic structure. You always know that the chart.yaml has the metadata, the values.yaml has the configurable defaults, and the templates folder holds the actual Kubernetes manifests. That predictability makes Helm so easy to pick up and use across your whole team.
And this brings us to the real secret sauce, the thing that makes Helm an absolute game changer. It's not just about bundling files, it's about making those files dynamic through its templating engine.
Just think about it for a second. You've got your development environment, your staging environment, and your production environment. They're all pretty similar, but each one needs slightly different settings, right? Maybe a different number of replicas, or a unique database password, or a different URL.
And this is what that looks like in a real manifest. It's just regular Kubernetes YAML. But look at that placeholder in the curly braces, --values.namespace. Instead of hard-coding a value like dev or prod, you're basically telling Helm, hey, when you deploy this, go look at my configuration file for a value called namespace and just plug it in right here. This is where it all clicks. You have one master set of templates, but you can use different values files for each of your environments. So for dev, on the left, you can see we might set the replica count to 1 and use the latest image tag. But for production, on the right, we use a totally separate file that cranks the replicas up to 5 and locks in a specific, stable image version. This is how you get consistency without having to copy and paste code all over the place. So how do you actually go about building one of these? You might be thinking it sounds pretty complicated, but it's actually surprisingly easy to get started.
It literally all starts with a single command. Helm create, and then whatever you want to name your chart. This one command does all the initial heavy lifting for you. Yep, that one create command builds out that whole folder structure we saw earlier. And from there, your workflow is really straightforward. First, you customize the values YAML with all your app's configurations. Then, you pop into your templates and swap out the static values with those placeholders. And finally, when you're ready to go, you just run Helm install and tell it which values file to use for that environment. It's a really clean, repeatable process. But Helm isn't just for that first deployment. Once your app is up and running, Helm gives you a super simple and powerful set of commands to manage its entire lifecycle.
These are the commands you're going to be using day in and day out. You can install a new app, upgrade an existing one, list everything that's running, and of course, uninstall it when you're done. My personal favorite, though, is Helm Rollback. If you push out an upgrade and something breaks, you can instantly revert back to the last working version. It's a lifesaver.
So, if you take one thing away, it should be this. Helm really does transform how you manage Kubernetes. It brings simplicity to complex applications, it gives you consistency, making your deployments reliable every single time, and it drives reusability, so you can share your work and build on the work of the entire community. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What's that one application you work on that's a total pain to deploy? Think about how this templating workflow could streamline it, not just for you, but for your whole team.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me today to learn about Helm. If this was helpful, please hit that like button and share it with a friend or a colleague who might need it. And of course, subscribe to DevOps Corner for more deep dives into complex topics. We'll see you in the next one.